True Wealth whispers it's a Thursday evening. You walk into a high-end networking event in the city. The room is full of $2,000 tailored suits, oversized luxury watches, and people talking loudly about their recent vacations. You walk in wearing a plain $15 black t-shirt and a pair of ordinary jeans. The guy next to you at the bar is wearing a belt with a designer logo the size of his fist. He looks you up and down. He assumes you're an intern, or maybe you're just lost. He doesn't say hello. He turns his back to you and hands his gold-embossed business card to a man in a sharp suit instead. What he doesn't know is this. The man in the sharp suit is up to his neck in credit card debt, praying for his next commission check to clear so his car doesn't get repossessed. And you have $1.4 million quietly sitting in an index fund. You could buy the entire company they both work for, but you don't say a word. You just sip your water and smile. Because you finally learned the ultimate rule of money. The loudest person in the room is usually the most broke, and true wealth whispers. Stay with that for a second. The man with the giant logo turned his back on the richest person in the room, and he has no idea. He looked at the cheap t-shirt and he made a decision. Not worth his time. An intern. Nobody. And in that one glance, he told you everything about how the world reads money, and everything about why he'll probably never have any. Because the whole room had it backwards. Every single person performing in there was reading the wrong signals. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the quiet rule that runs underneath all of it. The reason the people who look the richest are so often the ones with nothing, and the reason the truly wealthy learn to disappear. But first, let's talk about what that man with the logo actually bought. He thinks he bought a belt. He didn't. He bought permission. Here's the truth the luxury industry guards. They don't primarily sell you leather, fabric, or a meticulously crafted watch. They sell you permission. Permission to enter a space and feel adequate. Permission to briefly believe you've achieved success. That logo on his belt isn't decoration. It's a receipt. It's proof he paid for a feeling he couldn't give himself for free. The bigger the logo, the louder the cry. Because nobody who is quietly secure needs the size of his fist printed across his waist for strangers to see. Think about who actually buys these things. Not the truly rich. They barely notice them. The real customer is the person standing right on the edge. The one who feels behind. The one who is terrified that without the watch, without the suit, without the badge, people will see what he's afraid is true. That he's ordinary. That he hasn't made it. That he's not enough. So he buys the logo to cover the fear. And here's the cruelest part. The fear doesn't leave. It just gets a payment plan. Because most of these people aren't even paying with money they have. They're financing it. The suit is on a card. The watch is on installments. The car is leased. They are going into debt to buy the appearance of having no money problems. They are paying interest to look like they don't need to. Read that again. They borrow money to look rich, which is the single fastest way to stay poor. When you buy a logo to feel successful, you're not buying a product. You're buying a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. A character, a costume. And you're hoping that if you wear it long enough, the strangers will believe it. And maybe, eventually, so will you. But the strangers don't care. That's the part that breaks the whole illusion. The man he handed his card to wasn't impressed. He was too busy performing his own act, too busy worrying about his own repossessed car, to even register the belt. And here's the question that unravels the whole thing. Who is he even dressing for? Not for himself. He sees the same belt every morning and feels nothing. Not for the truly rich. They don't care, and they can spot a finance logo from across the room. He's dressing for strangers, people he'll never see again, people whose names he'll never learn. He has organized his entire financial life, gone into real debt, sacrificed real freedom, all to the opinion of people who forget he exists the second he walks away. He's paying interest on the approval of ghosts. That's not a spending problem. That's a wound, with a designer logo stitched over it. Now look at the math underneath it, because it's brutal and it's simple. The louder the money talks, the less of it there usually is. Real wealth is quiet for a reason. When you actually have it, you stop needing to announce it. The announcement was never for you. The announcement was always a request, a quiet plea that said, please, see me as someone who matters. And a man with $1.4 million in the bank, sipping water in a $15 shirt, has already stopped asking that question. He answered it himself, a long time ago. So that brings us to the strangest part of all. Why would someone with that kind of money choose to look poor? On purpose? Because looking poor is a shield, the most powerful shield there is. Think about everything that disappears the moment people assume you have nothing. Nobody tries to sell you anything. Nobody schemes to get a piece of you. The scammers walk right past, looking for the man with the loud watch instead. Nobody asks you to pick up the check. Nobody resents you. Nobody studies you, envies you, or plots around you. You become invisible, and invisible is the safest, freest thing a wealthy person can be. The man with the giant logo is a target. He's announced, to every predator in the room, exactly what he wants people to think he has. The quiet man in the cheap shirt is a ghost. He moves through the same room carrying 10 times the wealth, and not a single person clocks it. One of them is being watched. The other is free. That's the trade almost no one understands. When you wear the logo, you buy attention you didn't need and exposure you can't afford. When you wear the plain shirt, you buy something far more valuable. You buy the right to be left alone. You buy peace. And peace, it turns out, doesn't photograph well, so almost no one chases it. You see it the moment any dinner ends. The check lands on the table, and every eye drifts, just slightly, toward the man with the watch. He feels it. He has to reach for it. His whole image demands he be the kind of man who pays. So he pays, again, for a bill he can't really afford, because the costume has rules. And one of them is that you never look cheap in front of the room. Nobody looks at the man in the plain shirt. Nobody expects anything from him. He could let the moment pass without a flicker of judgment. The loud man pays to protect an image. The quiet man keeps his money precisely because he has no image to protect. Looking like you have nothing means no one ever asks you to prove you have something. Now think about what that 1.4 million actually represents, because it isn't a number you're hiding out of vanity. It's freedom, real, structural freedom. It's the power to walk out of a job that's draining you and never look back. It's the calm of knowing a bad year won't end you. It's mornings that belong to you. It's the quiet, unshakable knowledge that you are not one paycheck, one commission, one bad month away from disaster. Like almost everyone else in that loud, glittering room, you could buy the company they both work for, and the reason you don't mention it is the exact reason you have it. You never needed them to know. The man in the sharp suit will spend the next decade performing wealth he doesn't have. You'll spend it quietly owning wealth no one can see. He's renting an image by the month. You own the real thing outright. And only one of you sleeps easy. And added up over those years, the suits that go out of style and get replaced, the watch traded for a newer watch, the car swapped every 3 years for the next lease, the dinners picked up to keep the image alive. It's a river of money flowing out, constantly, just to maintain a costume that protects nothing and grows into nothing. Now take that same river and point it the other way, into the boring account, the index fund. Leave it alone, for a decade, and it doesn't drain. It builds. It compounds in the dark while he's busy shopping the next thing to prove. That is the entire difference between the two men at the bar. One sends his money out to be seen. The other sends his money in to be free. Same income, maybe two completely different endings. But I won't pretend this path costs you nothing. It has a price, and it lands in a place money can't reach. The price is being underestimated, constantly. For years, you walk into rooms and will decide, in half a second, that you're no one. They turn their backs. They talk over you. They hand their card to the man in the costume and never even learn your name. And you have to let them. You have to stand there in your plain shirt and swallow being dismissed, knowing you could buy and sell every person who just ignored you. And you can't say a word, because the moment you prove it, the shield is gone. And on some quiet night, the doubt finds you. Does any of it even count if no one can see it? What's the point of winning a game nobody knows I'm playing? That voice is real. It's old. Some ancient of you still wants the room to turn and look, still wants to be respected out loud, the way the loud man is respected. Every instinct you have is begging you to just say it, just once, to let them know. And it stings in small, specific ways. The waiter hands the wine list to the man across from you, not you. A stranger at the event assumes you're there to refill the glasses. Someone asks, slowly, kindly, if you're sure you're in the right place. You feel the heat rise in your face. You feel the old urge to pull out your phone and show them the number, to wipe the assumption off their face. And every time, you let it go. You let them be wrong. Because the second you prove them wrong, you trade the most valuable thing you own, your invisibility, for a few seconds of a stranger's respect. And a stranger's respect was never worth what it costs. That's the final test of real wealth. Not earning it, carrying it in silence, while the world hands its respect to people wearing costumes, and not needing to correct them. The discipline isn't in the saving. It's in the not telling. That's why so few people ever get here. Not because the money is impossible. Because the silence is. Most people would rather look rich and be broke than be rich, look like no one. The need to be seen is stronger than the desire to be free. And the world is designed, top to bottom, to keep it that way. So picture the two men from that room, 10 years from now. The one with the giant logo, still loud, still performing. On his fourth leased car, his finance watch, still walking into rooms hoping strangers will nod. And underneath it, the same fear he started with, just buried under more interest. And you, the intern, the nobody in the cheap shirt, quietly worth more than that entire room combined, free to work or not, free to leave or stay, owning your time, your mornings, your life, while they keep renting theirs from a bank. His confidence is a costume he pays for monthly. Yours is something no one can repossess. So go back to that bar, Thursday evening. The man with the logo looking you up and down, turning his back, handing his gold-embossed card to a man in debt, both of them performing for each other, neither of them seeing you at all. Let him think you're the intern. Let him think you're lost. He needs to feel like the important one far more than you need him to know the truth. His whole identity depends on that costume. Yours depends on nothing at all. That's the difference. That's the whole difference. He spent a fortune so strangers would believe he matters. You spent nothing, and you matter anyway, and you're the only one in the room who knows it. The quiet man in the cheap shirt didn't lose that exchange. He won it before he walked through the door. Because here is the truth that whole glittering room will never understand. You don't dress like that when you make it. You dress like that when you finally stop needing anyone's permission to feel like you made it. You stop wearing luxury brands the exact moment you no longer need to prove to strangers that you matter. So, where do you stand? Do you still feel compelled to display your achievements? Or have you reached a stage where you'd enter that room in a simple shirt, completely unconcerned? Share your honest thoughts in the comments below, as your reply truly reflects whom you're still striving to impress. Until next time, take care, and remember, often, the quietest presence holds the most power.